رب رحيم مشفق.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We welcome all our international viewers from all over the world who have decided to tune in with us today and watch this exciting episode as we go through the story of how to bring people to Islam by using the concept of Dawah Ilallah. And we are going, inshallah, through the book written by a man who has a very clear description. It's very logical, it's very systematic on how we can use the explanation as given in the Quran to lead somebody to Islam. How we need to not use our own understanding. How we need to follow what the Quran and what the authentic hadith are teaching about Islam and portray and giving that to the people. Simply by understanding these concepts and explaining it to people, that will give them, inshallah, the eyes and the ears to see and hear the truth of Islam. Oftentimes before I present a lecture or a talk, I will make a silent intercession to Allah. I will ask Allah, please Allah, open the eyes of those people who want to hear this message and close the eyes of the people that you don't want to see this message. And open the ears of those people who want to hear this message and close the ears of those people that you don't want to hear this message. Because sometimes it is not your time. And Allah alone knows when it is your time. He will call you and bring you to that point where you'll, for the first time, go, why didn't they just tell me that? I remember from 16 until the age of 30, Muslims did dawah to me. And every single time they told me about Islam, it went in the one ear and out the other. Every time I saw them, I just saw the mouth moving and didn't hear anything. And then a day came, a moment in time took place, where I heard, and it was like I had never heard in my life before. It was as if I had just received the gift of hearing. And I saw for the first time, it was like I had just received the gift of sight. When I think back, how could I have not understood? So there is a moment and there is a time where Allah chooses for us to hear and understand. So we invite all of you at home to listen and hear if Allah wills. So the only religion that is acceptable is the religion of submission to Allah. The only belief system that is acceptable is submission to Allah. If you submit to Allah, you will be following or you'll be practicing upon Islam and you'll be called a Muslim. So every prophet, from the very, very first prophet all the way through all the different prophets, from Noah to Abraham to Moses to Jesus to John the Baptist, may Allah be pleased with all of them, right through to the final messenger, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, all came with exactly the same belief system. So there's no difference. You don't look at one and you see them different to the other. They're all the same. Oftentimes we refer to the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Last Testament. That's what we call the Quran. But I prefer not to call it the Last Testament, because the Mormons call their book the Last Testament of Jesus Christ. Sometimes it can get mixed up. So when we say the Last Testament, you're giving free advertising to the Mormon church. So maybe we shouldn't call it that anymore. Maybe we should call it the truth. And sometimes we call it the Holy Quran. It's just the Quran. It's not like the Christians call the Bible the Holy Bible. It is the Holy Bible. There's lots of holes in it. But it's not the Holy Bible as in the way they understand it to be. So I normally get my students straight away to take a Quran and take out the word holy, because the word of Allah is holy anyway. You don't have to put Christian terminologies onto it and call it the Holy Quran. You know, it's the Quran. Khalas, we'll leave it like that. So as we've been going through this book and reading what this book that we are referring to in this series, we've been reading different verses that this author has brought our attention to, and when we've commented on it. And so now we're going to continue, inshallah, reading from chapter 3 of the Quran, verse 84. And in the Quran, we'll have our brother who will read it for us, and then we'll comment on it, inshallah.
Say, we believe in Allah and in what has been sent to us, and what was sent down to Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, and the sons of Jacob, and what was given to Moses, Jesus, and the prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between them. To him we have submitted. Surah 3, verse 84.
So we see very clearly that the natural inclination in Islam is to invite people to follow the same religion. We're not coming up and reinventing another religion. It's the same religion. You see, what happens is a lot of people, sometimes they want to rewrite what has already been written. And they want to redo things that have already been done. Like there's that saying, reinvent the wheel. We're not wanting to reinvent the wheel. In a lot of the classes we do, when they're already good, we just use those. So man didn't have to reinvent another religion. It's the same religion that has existed all along. And so when we look at all the prophets, they all came with exactly the same message. But men think things are too easy. If we say, you know, the wall behind me is blue, somebody here who wants to be clever will say, well, actually it's not blue, it's aqua. Isn't that what people do? They won't just say it's blue, they have to make it more fancy. And it's almost a form of arrogance when we do that, when we have to do that. But Allah is showing that all the prophets came with the same message. They didn't try to outdo each other. They came with the same message. They're all humble. They had the same characteristics. They had the same attitude. And so they all came with inviting people to the same belief system. And all of these prophets were great. All of them were our role models. All of them should be our idol. Not in the way that we think of idol as in the way people are talking about. You know, when you speak to a kid and you say, so who do you look up to? You say, well, my idol is. Don't they say that? An idol. An idol. That's what they're actually saying. You go to the rooms and there's a picture of whatever the film star is or whatever the actress is or whatever it is in their rooms. And then they say, this is my favorite. What's that? Beaver Fever, some actor, Justin Bieber, whatever. They all go crazy about him. And he's the craze for now. But in years from now, he will be old news. By the time you're watching this, you'll hear, Justin Bieber, that was recorded ages ago. You can see that's, because he'll be old news. Today, is it old news? They are nuts about him. The whole world is crazy about him. But it won't be like that for long. It's not like that with Islam. The prophets, we don't go, oh, he's old news, and we respect all of them. We remember all of them. We think of all of them in the same way. When I read the lives of the prophets, I just think, whoa, I would never have been able to do that job. I would never have been worthy enough to do that. Because they went through a tough time. They had it hard. And we have life so easy. Everything is so simple for us. When you look at how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went through the abuse, how people, the community who loved him so much suddenly rejected him. Everybody who was trading with him and loved him suddenly rejected him when he stood up for the truth. Isn't that like our lives? We got a tiny little thing. When you stand for the truth, everybody thinks you're a nutcase. If you're doing all the haram things and getting drunk and womanizing and partying and doing all that, you're a cool guy, you're the funniest guy in the group. But the minute you are serious, you've gone nuts. You've gone all religious. Keep your religion to yourself. You've gone crazy. These are the guys that have gone crazy. They're the crazy ones. You've just got normal. They've stayed crazy. I've got a friend who I dearly, dearly care about. And I'm even going to give you his name because it won't matter to anybody. His name is Jody. He's the funniest little guy on the planet. Every time you look at him, you have to laugh. And I've been trying to do dawah to this guy forever. You know, it just doesn't get through to him because he's just like a walking comedian. And nothing is serious for this guy. Everything is a joke. So every time you try and talk to him, he just jokes about everything. And it's one of the most impossible things. And he says to me, he says, you are so religious, I can't have a normal conversation with you because you're so religious. And I said to him, but no one can have a conversation with you because you're so ridiculous. Because, I mean, everybody, if you say his name in South Africa to people who know him, everyone just goes, oh, that guy. He's just crazy. No one can have a conversation with him. I mean, he's always doing crazy things. Always doing something insane. And I'm the weird one. Do you understand? So it happens like that in life. You know, when you start doing things seriously, people are going to give you a hard time by it. If you're doing things haram and doing all the crazy things that everyone wants you to do, then you're okay and you're normal. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. So the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and all the prophets that we see, we try to emulate them today. That's why we grow these things. We grow this hair here for a reason. Because those are our role models. We look at them and we go, I want to be like that. It's this thing that we do that has a closeness for us. We want to emulate them. We don't want to look like Justin Bieber and have a new hairstyle every week and ugly tackies or whatever those shoes are that he puts on. We don't want to have those silly outfits. We don't want to put a gold glove on our hand and walk around going, huh? We want to be different to those people. Let's take a break. When we get back from the break, we'll continue, inshallah.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Hamdan lillah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Hamdan lillah,
You know, everything in life could use a little improvement, including religion, as it benefits our soul. Learn how to tighten your deen by examining various thought-provoking aspects, like salat, rights of the neighbor, and many more. So join me, Imam Qasim Ibn Ali Khan, for my series, Tighten Your Deen, right here on Peace TV.
Our deen, a blessing not to be taken for granted. Our responsibility to obey Allah, the Lord of the seen and the unseen. Strengthen your relation with the Rabbul Alameen in Tighten Your Deen, every Thursday at 10 p.m. Saudi Arabia and 11 p.m. UAE on Peace TV.
Where truth is hidden, misleading quotations create confusion. Where truth is hidden, lack of knowledge and wisdom cause upheaval and commotion. Where truth is hidden, manipulated scriptures and twisted facts emerge. This very hidden truth creates false propaganda, mayhem, chaos, disorder, and turmoil in our lives and the world order. But is there anyone with courage and wisdom? What is the truth and who has the courage to expose it? Because it's your right to know the truth.
Watch Truth Prevail and Lies Perish in Truth Exposed by Dr. Zakir Naik every Saturday to Thursday at 9 p.m. Saudi Arabia and 10 p.m. UAE on Peace TV. Distinguished world-famous orator who dedicated their lives to convey the message of peace came together at one platform, the International Islamic Conference, with one vision, with one mission, Peace Mission.
I welcome all of you with Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace Mission, next on Peace TV.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're continuing with our look at how we can be the best that we can be. We can be all that you are supposed to be, like the American slogan goes for the military. You can be all that you can be. Join the Navy. We want to join Allah. We want to join the team that will win at the end of the day. The one that will be successful, the one that will call to success. And that is to be one who submits to Allah. And all the prophets came with the same message. And like we said, we don't want to emulate film stars and all these other things that come and go and these fashions that come and go. You know, one thing about fashion is if you keep it long enough, it'll be back in fashion. I never believed that was true until I started seeing it happening. I remember having one of these ugly yellow tracksuits when I was a kid. You know, these bright yellow, like almost like a turmeric color tracksuit. It was bright. They're like a canary yellow. And I thought, in those days, I thought it was so cool. Now it's all back. I thought, I'll never, ever think anyone would ever wear such bright color. It's all back again. You know, we go through fashions. People have these fashions, they go backwards and forwards all the time. In Islam, we have something that's constant. It remains the same. Some of the things that people say, they say, you know, Islam is old-fashioned. So old-fashioned. Haven't you heard the youth say that? Can't they get with the time? It's so old-fashioned. Huh? It's not old-fashioned. It's ahead of the fashion. Long way ahead of the fashion. Science is trying to catch up with our fashion. Mathematics is just figuring out our fashion. Everybody is following the fashion of Islam. It's not out of fashion, it's ahead of fashion. It's not moving with the times, it's ahead of the times. So people, we've got an advert in South Africa. There's two opposing newspapers. One is called the Times and one is called the Tribune. And the Tribune, the head newspaper called the Daily Tribune or whatever, they put a sign on a bus once and it says, we're ahead of the times. Because the other newspaper is called the Times. That's brilliant. So it's subtle advertising. But it's a very, very clever idea. But when I looked at it, I thought, that's good. That's like Islam. We're ahead of the times. We're not behind the times, we're ahead of the time. You know, Times magazines bring out all this news and new discovery. Just discovered exactly how a baby is formed. Islam knew this long time ago. You are behind the times. We are ahead of the times. You know, Times magazine's always having these revelations that Islam knew years ago. Mathematician just discovered that there is an afterlife. Well, you could have read our book, we would have told you the same thing. No. I'm not joking, it was on the cover of a magazine, the Times magazine. It said, scientists discover eternity. We knew this all along. You know, so we are definitely ahead of that times as well. So Islam is very, very pertinent to the day. And this is the beauty of Islam when we present it to people. When we present Allah to people, they can have one of two reactions. They can purposely put their fingers in the air and go, la, 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 no one will listen, and walk off, or it will change them. Hardly anybody sits there, listens to what you say and goes, oh, I don't believe that. They either put their fingers in the air and go, la, 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 I don't want to hear in the beginning, or they get changed. I've never come across anybody after speaking to them goes, I don't believe that. They go, do you know what? There was a Portuguese couple that I was speaking to in South Africa. And the more I started telling them about Islam, the more they said, why have we believed what we believed? They haven't become Muslim yet, but inshallah, Allah will give them hidayah to become Muslims. So even people who don't become Muslims, once you tell them what Islam teaches, they changed. One way or the other. So this is why we know it's an amazing belief system. Now, one of the other important aspects of dawah is to call people to obey Allah and His Prophet and the matters which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave us to teach mankind. So it's not only to introduce them to Allah, not only introduce them to the Quran, not only to introduce them to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but the matters that help us to become better human beings. Like how to invest correctly with our money, how to eat properly, how to behave with our neighbors, how to dress modestly. See, these things as well is what the world is hungering for. What's what they're looking for. People looking for meaning. Often we have made, the accusation has been made, and we hear it all the time, from inside Islam, outside of Islam, we hear it. Women are oppressed in Islam. And most of the time it's men who are talking about the fact that women are not oppressed. And people often say, well, why aren't the women talking if they're not oppressed? Why don't you get one of them to talk? They do, just nobody wants to listen. You go on the internet, you'll find millions of testimonies of women who tell their story on why they chose Islam. In America, in Ohio, again, I always spoke about Ohio because that's one of my, it's Dallas, Ohio. Those are the two places that are sort of, everyone's looking at the moment, at what's happening in America, at the success of Islam. There are many other places as well. Don't just think there are many, many wonderful places in America where the Muslim communities are growing. But these two are special to me, these two places. When you look there, there's an 80-20% ratio. 80% women, 20% men. Wow, this must be a really oppressive religion that women are coming in, so many women are coming into Islam. These are the reverts. These are not the born Muslim. They've got nothing to do with, that's not the statistic with born Muslim. This is the reversion statistics. 80% women, 20% men are reverting. From all different, I met a family in Mansfield, Ohio. A sister, mother, other sister, another sister. All of them became Muslims. At different times. Not at the same day, different times. Different levels when they were ready at different stages in life. No reason to become Muslims. No financial gain. They didn't become Muslims to marry a Muslim man. In fact, that's the problem. There's too many women and not enough men for them to marry even. So it's not because they're coming into Islam because they're going to get married, like a lot of people say, oh, well, they're becoming Muslims because they're going to marry a Muslim guy. It's not happening. Hardly do we find that. In fact, there are so many women looking for husbands, they're now having to look outside America just trying to find a husband because there's not enough men in America. So it's happening. If Islam was so oppressive of women, why would we be finding them coming in like we see? Hundreds, thousands of them. Numbers are doubling all the time. America is the fastest growing Muslim population. It just keeps growing all the time. Every time you go back there, you go, but what happened? Just the other day, there were only 200,000 of you. Now you're in the millions. How did it happen? Allah guides whom He wills. So, another important part of Islam is to expose people to the better system that is found in Islam. Not just only the things that we spoke about, but the morality system, the justice that is found in Islam. So it says in the 4th chapter of the Quran, O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the messengers and those who are in authority. You see, Islam is not teaching you to go against your government. It's not teaching you to go against the order of the day. What did the Prophet Isa, peace be upon him, teach his people? Did he say, fight against the Roman occupiers, kill them, destroy them? He said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, and give unto God what is God's. In other words, I'm not interested in those things. You give your taxes to the government, or what is due to your government, and you give to Allah what is Allah's. He's not separating church and state, like America tried to do and other countries try to do. You can't separate Islam from politics. You can't separate Islam from economics. You can't separate Islam from social work. You can't separate Islam from it's all or none. It's a total package. It's a solution for humanity. It's not just a slogan that Dr. Zakir and I came up with and said, well, here's a catchy slogan. It makes sense. It's exactly right. It is the solution for humanity. And peace, salam, is the solution for humanity. Salam. Salam means something you have to practice upon. It's not just saying a word, peace. It's not the hippie stuff. It's not the 1960s where they had said peace to each other. I remember when I was in the military, we had this one man. I used to call him Sergeant Major Peace. That was his nickname. I wasn't a Muslim then. Every time we would come past him and we would want to give him respect by, stretching forward and being, coming to attention. He used to go, no, 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 peace. So every time he had to salute you like this with his peace sign. So we called him Sergeant Major Peace. That's not the peace we're talking about. We're not talking about some little slogan or some funny little man walking past saying peace. We're talking about an active peace. A peace that gives you not an emotional, I feel this peace in my heart. It's the salam. Like Islam, salam. It's the salam that transforms you from the inside out and from the outside in. It works both ways, like a microwave oven. Cooks from the inside out. But then you have the browner and it cooks from the outside in. When we come to Islam, the dawah that we receive or the dawah that we give or the dawah that we get should transform us. And so it is a solution for humanity, Islam. So those who come to Islam, they should begin to purify themselves. When you come into Islam, you find yourself being purified. How do you purify something? How do you purify something? By removing impurities. By removing impurities, how do you remove impurities? Many different ways. You can filter over and over and over and over and over again. You can clean, or you can boil, or you can heat up, and you can start cooking. That's the best way to get rid of impurities. In Islam, that's what has to happen. We need to get rid of all the impurities. When we're calling people to Islam, we want to filter out all the rubbish. Sometimes it might be a bit cooking. You might have to cook a bit. Might get a bit hot there. So when we're doing dawah, we want to help people become more pure, purify them. It's a slow process. You don't go from bright yellow gold to white gold in a day. It's a long process, melting down, cooling down, melting down again, cooling up again, melting down, cooling, melting, cooling, over a long period of time to get rid of all those impurities. So maybe you at home are wondering about how you can get rid of the impurities in your life. I encourage you to start reading the Quran. Get involved in the Muslim community. Maybe you're not even a Muslim, go find out about Islam. Start talking to people about Islam. And if you are a Muslim, start looking at what those things that you need to remove out of your life to make you a better Muslim. That's all the time we have for this week, so make sure you join us here in the studio and myself, Areeb Islam. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
رب رحيم مشفق متعطف لا ينتهي بالحصر ما